Yo, yo, yo.
My guy.
Back with another episode. You know what it is.
Yes,
So for
sir. Yes,
those in the
sir.
room, welcome back to Keep It Thorough Thursdays. It's your boy E Double.
What's good people? It's Cedric Lavelle. We're on week five. Week five, man. This weeks have gone by pretty quickly.
Yeah, no, it's going by real fast, man. I got my light in the background. Y'all just gonna have to look at that. I didn't know it was in the view, but
Yeah, lighting's good, bro. I like that. There you go.
hey, no, it's all good. But so yeah, for week five, man, week five. So week five is another When Money Matters episode. Once a month we're gonna do a When Money Matters episode. The last When Money Matters episode was on credit, and we kind of went over, the different FICO scores, Vantage scores, and like the five most important, pillars of building your credit and things like that. If you missed that video, I highly recommend you go back and watch it because there was a lot of good information that we dropped in that video. But so for this episode, we're gonna be focusing on budgeting, a very simple but yet complex topic, I guess. Like some people make it more complex than it need to be, but it don't really need to be that complex, So I guess really starting off like how we always do. So budgeting. When it comes to budgeting for me, man, so I'm married, been married for 8 years. Says married too, but been married for 8 years. And when we first got married, me and my wife didn't share a bank account. We had separate finances. And I just thought, like, you keep your money, I keep my money. We come together for the bills. Like, that's cool. That works out. Eventually, we did merge bank accounts, and it worked out better for us. That's just a method that we incorporated. And it's worked well for us. Now, again, everything don't work well for everybody else, and there's not a wrong or right way to go about it. You know what I mean? But I'm the one who manages the finances in my house, and we have a combined budget. What's your experiences with, well, let me go a little bit further before I do that.
No, go ahead, bro.
So the way I kind of manage my budgeting, right, is I write down all my bills, literally every bill, and then I arrange them by due date. So obviously mortgage due on the 1st. I think my car notes due on the 15th, things like that. But I arrange them by due date. And then I organize them in a way that align with my pay date. So I know if anything that's due between this time and this time, I pay with this paycheck, and, so on and so forth. And then every payday, I get paid on the 1st and 16th. Wifey gets paid every 2 weeks. So I organize it where I pay all the bills on the 1st and on the 16th to align with my pay days, since they're static. It's always the 1st and the 16th, where her dates change from month to month. So that's how we kind of do it. And I'll get into a little bit more detail. But go ahead, Sid.
Man, so I really didn't start budgeting until I pretty much got married. Honestly, college, I didn't see no need to budget. You know what I'm saying? I was living. Obviously, high school. I ain't see no reason to budget then.
Well, I ain't had no money, so I wasn't.
Yeah, I ain't really had that much either. So it wasn't no need to budget. But no, man. When I got married, is when I really started budgeting more, and understanding budgeting. So my wife and I, we actually jointly budget. We got different methods and whatnot that we use as it relates to how we manage our money. A lot of communication, a lot of just kind of planning out as far as what things need to be taken care of, when they need to be taken care of. So we've kind of developed a great strategy as far as how we go about managing our money and then the funds for the household. So like you were saying, man, it's one of those things where it could be complex, but really through different strategies and methods, like I said, like we do, it really simplifies things for sure. You know what I'm saying?
All right, well, cool. Well, let's go and get into the meat of it. You know what I'm saying? So Sid is, again, y'all gonna hear me say this a million times. The boy Sid is a monster and a beast when it comes to these concepts and these acronyms. You know what I'm saying? So, so we gonna call this one AAA, right? So
That's
I'm gonna go and let you get into it.
Yeah, so starting your budget, and that, as we do every week, you know, we're gonna go through our slides just to kind of give you all some highlights as far as what we got. Obviously, after the live is over, go to our bio and go to the budget kit that'll give you some of the highlights and some of the context as far as what we've got today. But really, with budgeting, one of those things with budgeting is about decision making. And it helps you with maintaining your lifestyle. You know, it's simple as that. It's understanding where your money is, where it's going, what you need to do what, whether it's for vacations, whether it's for, you know, certain hobbies that you might have, investing, whatever the case may be. It's understanding where the money is coming from, where the money is going, and monitoring. So with starting your budget, we've got 3 different things that you really want to make an emphasis on and really focus on as it relates to your budget. So the first one is going to be anticipating, and anticipating just knowing what money is coming in, where that money is coming from, how much is coming in, right? The next one is going to be allocating. So that's basically knowing the categories of where you want to put your money, and doing that in detail is beneficial as well too. Leaving, like as they say, no stone unturned. Like knowing exactly, you know, what expenses go where, what category is this. We'll get into more details on that as we continue with the live, as far as how you can go through and categorize certain things. But obviously you want to know your categories, but then also accounting, and not the accounting aspect is, you know, as far as like the you know, the business accounting, but really just knowing what transactions are being processed, going through your bank statements, going through your cards, you know, wherever the money is going, what money is coming out, just knowing the transactions that are happening, and being on top of that. I feel a lot of times when you spend, you don't know where your money is going. You don't know how much you spent on this, on that, on food, on entertainment.
If you're not budgeting, you don't know.
Yeah,
you don't know.
You don't
You just
know.
looking at the bank account and seeing it go down and like, okay, I got this much left now. That's not budgeting.
It's like, nah, that ain't that. And budgeting is strategic, you know, and a lot of times people don't want to kind of put in that extra work and that extra effort to maintain your money, but it's significantly important. So just kind of highlight that: it's anticipating, allocating, and accounting. You know, knowing what money is coming in, knowing where you want to allocate that money, but also accounting for every transaction. So that's with starting the budget. That's just kind of like some of the short ways of kind of getting your mindset.
Well, really kind of like the pillars. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, that's the pillars of budgeting. But on the next slide that we've got, this is going to be more so about how to manage the budget. And this is where we kind of get into the meat of budgeting overall. And I'm gonna let you go ahead and capitalize on that, E.
All right, bet. So managing your budget, you know, so your budget at its peak. Got another acronym, right? So this one is CLIF, CLIF, which stands for current, leaving, and final. And we're gonna get into the details on that one. So C, knowing what's current. Knowing how much money you currently have is extremely important. If you don't know where you started, you don't know where you're going, right? So how can you budget if you don't know where you're starting? So make it a habit of checking your bank account every single day. Like,
yeah.
If you don't know how much money you currently have right now, that's terrible. Like, you should. Now, I probably could tell you to the cent, right? But you don't need to know to the cent, but you need to know how much money you have. Like, you need to,
how many thousands or something,
right? Or hundreds, or 20s, whatever you got, whatever you working with. You need to know exactly what you got.
Know what's in there.
If you don't know what you got, you know, then you just out here spending. You swiping the card, you know. Then you getting hit with overdraft fees, all that, which is terrible. So be sure to be current and know what you have. So L, if Cliff is knowing what's leaving. So what that means is basically making a budget, making a list of all your bills and expenses and organize them by due date, like I mentioned. And this should also include any money that you're setting aside for savings and investing, right? I include that in my budget. Like, I don't pay the bills and then see how much I got left and then save that way or invest that way. I actually deduct the money. I count them. I treat them as bills. And so I know I want to save X amount. So if you want to save, just throw random numbers out there. If you want to save $200 a month, $300 a month, whatever you're trying to save, account for that. Account for it right up front as part of your bills. And then when creating your budget, now this is a trick that I use. Every bill I round up. So say for instance, a bill is $82.37. I round it up to $83. Yeah. And then I also do this. So say for instance, throughout the year, your average electricity bill is like $150. But during the summertime, well, $150 is kind of high for some people, but we just gonna say $100. Yeah, right. So say your average electricity bill is $100. But like in peak months during the summer, say it's $150. That might be the highest it is throughout the year. Always budget for the worst case scenario. So whatever the highest that it could be, budget for that. You're not doing no harm if it's not that high. You still keep the money, but you need to budget for the worst case scenario though. Don't budget for the best case. Like, oh, I had a $20 electricity bill, so I'm gonna budget for that. No, don't do that. Budget for your worst case scenario and do that with all of your bills. So really the keys with leaving is, keeping track of all your bills, organizing them by due date, rounding all of them up to the nearest dollar, and then also budgeting for the highest that bill could be throughout the year. So that's leaving. And then you need to know what's coming in. And that's pretty simple. How much money you making. If you got one job, then it's pretty easy to, calculate how much income you got coming in. If you got multiple jobs, you need to make a list of all your guaranteed sources of income and calculate them. And now what I do with this is I round down to the nearest $5, right? So, and the reason I do this is when you go to pay your bills, it leaves extra little money there for you because you rounded up all of your expenses and you rounded down all of your income. So when you actually go to pay your bills, you're gonna have extra money sitting there.
And that I want to touch on that, bro.
No, go ahead.
When you told me that about budgeting, because I mean, when I would budget, I wouldn't round down on my income. But it made perfect sense because when you and I talked about this, is with the savings and investing and knowing that you got a little bit of extra money left over. And I think that's useful when people want to get into investing and want to get into saving. It's one of those strategies that you can use, you know what I'm saying, to maximize on your money by doing it that way. So man, that was some good insight that you shared, man. I think that'll be beneficial.
And I think it's terrible to try to budget exact, right? Don't budget your money exactly, because then if something happens, then you in a bind, like you're in a bad place. Like, so again, round down your income to the nearest $5 and round up your bills to the nearest dollar. And then when you know what you got coming in, you need to only calculate your guaranteed income. So if you get money from overtime or tips or something else, whatever else you're getting money from, don't count that money in your budget. Now, if you work a job, which I'll use Verizon. Me and Sid both worked at Verizon. When we worked at Verizon, most of our money was commission.
Commission, yeah.
So in a situation like that, I wouldn't say don't count that money, but you need to count the lowest amount that you've got,
right?
Or try to average that out. You know what I'm saying? Don't. Now, in other situations where you get tips and it's sporadic, you know what I mean? You might get this much, you might get that much, you know what I'm saying? And it's not really an exact amount that you pulling in. Don't count that money. Now, again, this doesn't cause any harm to you. The money is still there. You're still making that money, but just don't spend it in your budget if you don't even know you're going to get it. Because, again, it's going to put you in a bind. So only use your guaranteed sources of income when you're writing out your budget. All right, and now the F in Cliff is final. So take your guaranteed income sources, subtract all of your bills and expenses, which includes your savings and your money you want to invest. And this is what you have left over for spending money. And now you're going to have a little extra because you rounded down your income and you rounded up your bills. And if you budgeted for that $100 or $120 electric bill and it was only 60, that go another extra 60 for you right there. You know what I'm saying? So that's your spending money. Now with that spending money, do whatever you please. You want to go buy your mics, you buy you some mics. You want to go on you know what I mean, plan for a trip, you know, throw it into the savings, you know, extra money to put in your savings for a trip, whatever you want to do, but that's your spending money. And now one thing I want to touch on here that I didn't mention when we talked about billing or you know, writing down your bills is I think it's important to account for everything. And when I say that, like, you need to account for a fast food budget, you know, eating out. You need to account for a lunch budget when you go to lunch for work. You need to account for a grocery budget. You need to account for a gas budget for your cars. You need to account for if you drive on a tollway and you got to pay tolls, you need to budget for your toll road. You need to budget for all those things because a lot of people think those little purchases don't add up, but you'll be surprised at the end of the month how much money you spend on that. Yeah, you think that Chick-fil-A or that, you know, Five Guys or whatever don't add up, especially if you ordering from DoorDash or whatever, because now that meal costs an extra $10. You know what I'm saying? Like, so make sure you account and set a budget for all of those. And now that really kind of leads us into the next slide, I guess, where we talk about ways of managing that budget and what said dropped this PSA, right, which stands for the 3 different ways that you can manage the budget. And I'm gonna let you hit on that, Sid.
And PSA, public service announcement. Budgeting is not that hard. It can be very, very simplified. But really with budgeting, man, it just takes a lot of self-control and discipline. And that's really what it boils down to, because if you got the strategies that allow you to be successful when it comes to budgeting your money and handling your money, everything else essentially is going to fall into play. But for bettering your budget, PSA, use a planner, use a spreadsheet, or use an app. I have experience with using a planner. I have experience using certain apps. Both have been beneficial for me. It gives me a visual. It gives me every detail that I need as far as where my money is going, where my money is coming from. With every bank that I'm associated with, I've got the app on my phone so I can see every transaction. Every Sunday at about 12:30 to 2:30, I do all of my budgeting for my wife and for myself. We go over a couple of things, but we write everything out. We look at all the transactions, you know, and we just kind of go detail by detail, line by line, see where we can save money, see where we can put money back, see where we're looking at as far as future ventures that we may have together. So really just utilizing the tools that are available and resourceful have certainly been helpful for us, but don't overcomplicate how you budget. You know, and when using a planner or using a spreadsheet or using an application, you know, you can manage it and kind of list things out how you see fit and what's useful for you. But the main thing is just being consistent, you know, taking everything that you have and everything that you know as it relates to where your money is, what's leaving, what's coming in, and what you're saving for, and those types of things, and just being consistent. But I know with spreadsheets, I know you are familiar with using Excel. So what's your experience with that?
Well, yeah, man, I be having spreadsheets for everything.
Yeah.
So yeah, PSA, planner, spreadsheet, apps. So when it comes to spreadsheets, what I used to do, which I don't do this anymore, which I may get back to this, but in a spreadsheet, I wrote up a formula. You know, it'll take you a little bit of time on the front end to write a formula. I put in my budgets in there, right? So I put in I'm gonna just throw random numbers out there. I put in, you know, $200 a month for gas, $100 a month for lunch budget, and so on and so forth. And then, you know, Excel, you know, it's Microsoft's, Google Sheets, or Apple Numbers. All of these apps are available on your phone. So when I was out and I would make a purchase, I would go in there and add the amount of the purchase, and then it would subtract from the budget. So I had a constant way of looking and seeing how much I had in each budget. Now, an app, if you don't, a spreadsheet requires a lot more effort, I guess. You know what I mean? Because you got to go in there and manually do it, kind of similar to a planner. Whereas applications kind of simplify it for you because you don't have to manually write it. You link up your bank accounts, and then it, you know, automatically lists the transactions. And then all you do is go in there and create categories, which is kind of what Sid was talking about earlier, putting things in a category. So you can make a category for utilities. So when, you know, your Xfinity bill comes through, or your gas bill or electric or whatever, it'll fall into that utilities category. And then these apps are real smart. So it'll know, okay, he categorized Xfinity as, you know, a utility. Or, you know what I mean? So now whenever that Xfinity bill comes in, it'll automatically throw it into that utility bucket. And now I found this to be the most effective. Now, I still do write down my bills just because, well, it's digitally. I write it on a tablet, but something about that just sits well with me. I just prefer to write it out, scratch it off. I use the apps as really kind of like a backup, just a kind of quick glance. But when I sit down and pay my bills every 1st and 16th, I do it, you know, with my laptop that I wrote out on OneNote, and then I scratch them off as I pay them. But some of the apps, right? And you can get as complex with this as you want, or you can make it as simple as you want. I'm pretty sure a lot of y'all are familiar with Quicken. They mainly known for Quicken Loans, but they also offer some of the best accounting software for not only businesses, but also for individuals for maintaining your budget. So if you go to quicken.com and download it, now these apps do cost money, but at the end of the day, the money it costs you, you're going to make that back tenfold in the money you saving by properly budgeting. So really it's an investment. Anything that nets you money is an investment. It doesn't cost you money, right? So like anything you pay for, but yet it makes you money, that's not, it's an investment. Right. So Quicken, more advanced. There's an application called Mint, which I used before, and then there's another one called Simplify. Now, Simplify is owned by Quicken, but it's like their easier, more user-friendly app, and that's the one that I'm actually using right now. I just downloaded it again, and I've been using that one. But again, the whole point of PSA, right, is go with what works for you. If you don't really like using apps and hopping on an application and doing it that way, then use a planner. If you like to use technology, but you know you with Excel, because I know a lot of people like using Excel, then hop on Excel, you know, or Google Sheets or Apple Pages, whatever your flavor is, and you know, monitor it that way. But really, budgeting does not need to be complicated. It doesn't. You just need to be consistent. And when you actually, there was a quote that said, I'm a paraphrase here because I don't remember exactly word for word, but it says something along the lines of how much money a person have isn't the issue with accumulating wealth. It's how you manage the money that you do have, which says everything that you need to know. You know what I'm saying? It's not about, there's people who make tons of money, but they're terrible at budgeting.
Managing their money, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And there's people who don't make as much money, but they're really good at budgeting, and you know, they live a really good life. So if you're looking to build wealth, this falls until, to be honest with you, until financial literacy and just understanding how to work with your money. Because people, you know, they say this all the time. If you can't manage your money, you know, being broke or not making that much money, what make you think you're gonna be able to do it if you made a lot more money? Your money habits don't change just because you got more money. Like you still got the same bad habits. Yeah. But it doesn't need to be difficult. It's a very simple process. You just need to be consistent. Pick a day of the week where you sit down. Let's say I work at a bank, dude, make 200K plus and got a ton of debt. Yeah, exactly. You know, like The amount of money you make
overspending.
Don't tell the whole picture. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? But anything else you want to add to that, said?
Nah, man. Like I said, it really mindset. You know, and anytime that we hop on these lives, I'm big on mindset. You know, the way that you approach things, the psychology behind things, understanding processes. You know, and even with these concepts that we create, we really just try to simplify, you know, complex problems or things that people have challenges with. I want more information about, and just kind of make it as simple as we can, because I feel like simplification leads to success. You know, the simple, the simplest that we can make something to convey, it's easier to really just go about managing it and doing it. So, you know, really having the right mindset, the right approach to managing your money, knowing where your money's going, knowing where you need to put this, knowing where to allocate this, man, it definitely it definitely helps, man. We can't stress that enough, about the importance of budgeting, you know, and just doing just the basics of that, because you know, when you know how your money flows and where it goes, you're able to live the lifestyle that you want. You'll know where you need to cut back, you know, and a lot of times there's power in saying no, you know, no to yourself. If you know that you can't afford something, or you know that you're trying to save for a vacation or for a trip, wherever the case may be, have the power to tell yourself no, you know, and practice that self-control and that discipline. That way you can have that lifestyle and maintain certain things, and, you know, allow your children to experience things, or your spouse to experience things, or be able to give back, you know, and I feel like that's beneficial as well too, when you're able to do the things that are necessary to be a good steward over your finances and the resources that you have. You know, that allows you to be a blessing to other people. So don't restrict yourself, man. Like don't put yourself in a bind, or allow yourself to be consumed with mismanaging, because you never know the opportunities that may be ahead of you.
And it creates
right
stress.
thing.
You know what I'm saying? It creates stress for you. And, you know, I see a lot of people, I think a lot of people mindset is just wrong about like saving, right? Like people look at like, oh man, like I ain't trying to save 300 a month, or I ain't trying, you know what I mean? But it's like, don't think about it like that. Like, it's still your money. And now we're gonna go back to a point I made before. You grow wealth by investing, not saving.
Correct.
But if you can save money that you then plan on investing, right, that can make you more money.
Right. Because you can't invest what you don't have.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
And a lot of people have like a view where it's like, oh, well, no, I don't want to save. I don't want to save that much. Like, that's too much. That's X amount. Like, no, that's how you know, prepare and give yourself the ability to be able to invest. And that's really kind of where you start.
It's facts, bro. That's all
but
I had, man.
Oh, my bad. What you say?
No, I said out. That's facts. I mean, that's all I had.
Yeah. So yeah. Again, for anybody new to the live stream, this is Keep It Thorough Thursdays. We've been doing this now for 5 weeks. This episode was about budgeting. Every month we do a When Money Matters segment where we talk about different things related to money. Our last segment was about credit. This segment was about budgeting. If you go into the bio of the Keep It Thorough page, every week we put an updated kit there. And so if you go there right now, you can look at the budgeting kit, and it'll kind of cover what we was discussing, and then it gives you some resources. There's links in there for Quicken, for Mint, for Simplify, those budgeting apps that we talked about. And if you're looking for like a planner, if you just like a budgeting planner, if you just go hop on Amazon, you just type in budgeting planner, a million things will pop up. And y'all know how to get Excel or Pages. Pages come on your iPhone if you got it, or if you got a Android phone, Google Sheets. So without further ado, man, we appreciate y'all. We appreciate people tuning in every week. And we're going to end it there. And y'all know the way it goes. If you don't do nothing at all,
Yes, sir.
Keep it thorough.
Keep it thorough.
We holler at y'all
Appreciate
next
y'all
time.
tuning in. Peace out. See you next week.
Deuce.